Welcome back to another episode of Manzarra the Hobbyist. Today I'm doing a book review video for Musashi's Book of Five Rings, the definite interpretation of Miyamoto Musashi's classic book of strategy. This was translated by Stephen F. Kaufman, Hanshi 10th Dawn. I think that's like a karate term, like when you like grow in the karate, you are a Hanshi is like your class, and Dan is like I don't know. I never took karate, so I don't know this exactly. But I'm gonna read the back of the book for you guys. This is the book, really thin, really fast, quick read. I think I read it when I was flying on a plane. I think I was like it was either I read it in a single long flight or I read it between a first flight transfer and the second flight. All right, the back of the book. Miyamoto Musashi's Book of Five Rings is well known as a book of strategy. However, Musashi himself was a martial artist, the greatest warrior Japan has ever known. And the Five Rings was his definitive treatise on mortal combat. This classical work interprets Musashi's five rings specifically for the martial artist, as it was originally intended. It explains the truths necessary for a full understanding of Musashi's message in depth. The result is an enthralling treatise on martial strategy that combines a warrior's instinct with the philosophies of Buddhism, Shintoism, Confucianism, and Taoism. Like the original, this new interpretation is divided into five sections. The Book of Earth lays the groundwork for the study. Water explains the warrior's attitudes through understanding of strategy. Fire teaches that fighting based on the earth and water principles. Wind describes the differences in Musashi's own style and the styles of other schools. And the Book of No Thing, describing the way of nature as being understood through unthinking concepts. Stephen F. Kaufman, Hanshi 10th Dawn, is the founder and master of the School of the Snake. He has studied karate for nearly 40 years and has a deep understanding of Musashi's Book of Five Rings. He lives in New York City, where he runs a series of karate self-defense schools. Okay, so let's get into the fun part. Who is this book for, right? So I think this book is for people who are studying martial arts, Zen, Taoism, philosophy, and I made a note here for me to look this up. It's called Stoicism. At the time, I couldn't remember what it was. I'm glad that it had come across my feed today, because I put the note that one philosophy people attribute to the Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius. And then, so Stoicism is like, if you're a Stoic, you might like this book. And also people who can convert the idea to the idea of defeat. So, we live in a modern world when no one's looking to put the end to life in anyone else's hands, you know? And instead of chasing that topic for glory, the idea of winning and completing your task in front of you, creating a defeat, I think that is what we can like relate it to in our own personal experiences of life. We are not promoting, the unaliving. I think that's what everyone says on social media. I don't think we're not promoting that idea on this channel. I just want to make that clear, because in this book, it is stated, this is how you do this thing. This is how this thing is conducted. I think one of my biggest takeaways from the book itself is that there are many events in modern society that we might view as a battle. This is completely different from the message that Musashi is teaching, which is directly about combat and how to conduct yourself in combat. He literally is teaching the philosophy of his ichi, which means like his school or his way, in which he uses to succeed in life and death encounters with true enemies. To do so in modern society will not suit you. However, we can take pieces and parts of this message and apply it in a modern perspective of defeat over our enemies. Developing our own lives, living true to ourselves, being adaptable, being able to change tactics in a practiced manner, understanding the Tao. And I go to the Tao because in the book of No Thing, it talks about following the way of no thing. And it all sounds very Taoist to me. I understand in the back it talked about Shintoism, Buddhism, Taoism, Confucianism. And for me, from my own perspective and things that I've been through, I understand things in more of a Taoist mindset than any of the rest of those. Um, Developing our own lives, living true to ourselves, being adaptable, being able to change tactics in a practiced manner, understanding the Tao, understanding the art of oneness with the universe, and that the Tao is undefinable. The Tao that can be defined is not the Tao. Each individual has a way to live their life that functions for them, adopting understanding from different avenues of life and skills to be able to grow and thrive. Thoughts and practices that draw too much from a single way of being or thinking are too rigid and will be defeated. The book of water, earth, fire, and air, and no thingness, from my perspective, the Tao. I like how the books are kind of broken up. I think each one, he's trying to define each one as its own thing, even though he's claiming that fire is the combination of earth and water put into practice. I think each of these things actually blends into one another. So the idea of oneness and concept does travel. This is not an original text. I mean, it's a book published by a guy who translated it. So to trust what he wrote is also to trust his ability to understand and translate what he comprehends. Which in translation, there's always a slight bit of room for people to put their own perspective on what they've read. I very much enjoyed this book. I think the target audience of this book is sitting right here in this chair. And I understand considering, oh, I have enemies is kind of weird in a modern sense because, like, who are our true enemies and why would anyone have enemies? Many people can have people they don't like, but to really have an enemy, it's an odd concept. I mean, who is it? Your boss, your manager, your coworker, your neighbor, the guy driving in the car next to you who like keeps getting in your blind spot or matching your speed, making it so you can't get over from the guy in front of you who's going too slow. Wow, that sounded a little too real. That might be a real life thing I'm holding on to a little bit too hard. Older siblings, younger siblings, parents, cousins, family, friends. Would you consider your friends your enemies? I don't know. It's maybe our victories don't have to be over enemies. Maybe they can be over the individual struggles that we experience in life. There's a lot to think about there. Either way, if you are looking to read something on a tactician and a strategist and someone who is quote unquote the strongest, not the strongest, the best swordsman from Japan in the feudal era. Maybe the feudal era is not right. I don't think it said which era he was. He was it just says he's known. Oh, okay. Okay, this is a fun part. In the preference, it reads that he is considered the Kensai, the sword saint of Japan. There's a lot of focus on the way. I'm trying to see if there's anything early in here that says what era he was living in. But I might have missed that, and I should have probably brought that for you guys a little bit sooner so you could understand. But this was in a time frame of samurais, I believe, like samurai and swordsmanship, and maybe when samurais weren't as necessary anymore. I think is around the end of his life. Could be wrong. I'm not a great historian. Anyways, read the book. It's fast. It's easy. The text is large. There's lots of spacing. So even though it's 100 and something pages, it goes by so quick. Don't take anything too literally about, that sort of stuff. And there's actually an anime that I watch called Vinland Saga that I think a lot of people can enjoy. And it's about like the Vikings warriormanship and the son Thorfinn. He his journey through that, and something his father had told him was, "You have no enemies." And for the majority of the series, the kid doesn't understand that, but like eventually he understands. We're all alive. We're all here. We're all experiencing things. Why should I have an enemy? Why should anyone be my enemy? I think in this modern world, that's a very strong concept. Is we're all seen as competing with each other or offending each other or putting each other in bad places, but like I don't think anyone has to be your enemy. But that also could be a strong focus of trying to remove ego from the self, which is another Taoist practice, which I am not always very good at. And I was thinking about lately that I'm not there anymore where I should be. So books like this are nice to refresh. All right, guys, that's Musashi's Book of Five Rings. Give it a read. Let me know what you think. And before you go, put in a comment, what is the last book you read, or what book are you currently reading? I'd love to hear and see what everyone's working through. All right, everybody. Thank you.